welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest John Assaraf, and he's here today to share with us his new book, Innercise, The New Science to Unlock Your Brain's Hidden Power. Now, John is a serial entrepreneur, brain researcher, and the CEO of NeuroGym. He's the author of 2 New York Times bestselling books and was featured in the blockbuster hit movie, The Secret. John is one of the leading behavioral and mindset experts in the world, with a unique ability to help people release the mental and emotional obstacles that prevent them from achieving their very best in life and in business. So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you John Assaraf.
It's so great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, what a pleasure and honor it is to have you here. I mean, your work has impacted so many people, and how exciting that you have a new book that just actually was released.
Yeah, it's my first book in 9 years. This is my 4th book, but I took a 9-year sabbatical just to work on a lot of research that went into this book and a lot of practical application to see how it works. And so the culmination of hundreds of thousands of people and a lot of research has culminated in the book Innercise, and I'm so excited for it.
Well, when you started on the path of writing this book, was there a main inspiration behind it?
The main inspiration was to get, deep into why is it that so few people actually achieve the goals that they set for themselves. And whether it's their, health goals, whether it's losing weight and keeping it off, whether it's getting out of a relationship that they're not, totally happy in and they stay stuck, whether it's, being stuck financially, what's the real cause in a world where we have all of the information on how to achieve those things? And that's why I went deep into the brain science and into the world of psychology to really understand, is there something that's, beneath the surface that is really holding people back? And the answer is yes. And so what I love to share with people is, if you're not 100% happy with all of your results, it's not your fault. It's your brain's fault, but it's not your fault. And there's ways to correct that.
Now, what a huge sigh of relief and hope that gives so many people, because a lot of times they look at life and they're going, John's got it all together. I mean, look at him. He's done all these great things. He probably goes through no challenges whatsoever. And I'm,
Yeah, it's the thing that I think is really important for people to, remember is that every human being goes through challenges, whether they're health challenges, financial challenges, career or business or relationship challenges. But what I've discovered is there are people who allow their challenges to control and consume them. And there are people who take their challenges and they use them to fuel them. And it's really a mindset shift of how they look at it and then what they do. But it's also an understanding that we're really not victims when we learn how to strengthen our mindset and our, what I call the neuro muscles, to be able to take any challenge and use it as our fuel for success. And there's some techniques that I'll share with people, today that they can learn, but also the book Innercise has got lots of them with some audio guidance as well for them. So let's dive in and have some fun.
Oh, of course. Well, and before we get too much into the meat and potatoes of all this, I would love for you to share with us, kind of just take us back to when you had your own, transformative moment.
Sure. My personal growth journey really started about 37 years ago. I was 19 years old, and I was getting in trouble with the law. I had quit high school at grade 11. I had a job where I was making, I think it was like $3 an hour, and I was doing things to make more money that got me in trouble with the law. And I was going down the path of either going to jail or the morgue, one of those two. And I was really fortunate that my brother introduced me to a friend of his who was a very successful philanthropist, entrepreneur, and just a beautiful human being. And at lunch one day, he asked me, if I had any goals for my life. And at the time, my only goals was to be able to have enough money to buy my own food, put gas in the car, which was not even my car, it was a sharing car with my brother, to pay my share of the rent for my brother, and just to go out and party. And he said, well, why not start with some bigger goals than that? And so I said, because I don't know how to achieve them. I don't have a college education. I left high school. I, didn't do well in school even when I was there, and I don't have any skills. At the time, I was working at a shipping department of a company, just packing boxes and sticking them on trucks and taking boxes off of trucks. And he said, well, you're focusing on all the reasons why you can't, and you're focusing on all your limitations versus focusing on what it is that you want to achieve and what skills and knowledge you need in order to achieve it. So he gave me this little exercise where he sent me home with a few sheets of paper and said, I want you to write some goals for your health and wealth and relationships and career and business or whatever the case might be, and come back to me. And so I went home, I filled out these forms for a few hours, came back to him. He says, nice job, way to go, way to set some goals. So this is the beginning of achievement, is having a destination of what it is that you want to achieve. And then he asked me a question that was the first turning point in my life. And the question he asked me was, now, are you interested in achieving these goals, or are you committed? And I asked him, a question. I said, well, what's the difference? And he said, well, if you're interested, you're going to use your stories and your excuses and all the reasons why you can't achieve these goals. He says, but if you're committed, you will do whatever it takes, and you'll upgrade your knowledge, you'll upgrade your skills, you'll let go of the stories and excuses that are keeping you stuck, and you will become the person capable of achieving those goals. I was like, wow. I said, well, I guess I'm committed. He says, good. Since you've made that first step, I'll be your first mentor. And at 19 years old, in May of 1980, he shook my hand, and I went back to Montreal where I lived, packed my bags, came back to Toronto, and then I went to get my real estate license, which he paid for. And then 5 weeks later, I got my real estate license, and I started working for him as a real estate agent. He started mentoring me on how to upgrade my knowledge and my skills and my mindset and my emotional management. And in my first year, I made $30,000, which was phenomenal because my father only made $25,000 that year. But in my second year, by following what he shared with me about strengthening my mindset and upgrading my emotional control and my skills, I quintupled my income, made $151,000. I was 20 years old. And so that was the beginning of learning how powerful it is to have the right mindset, the right mentors, and then to take action to level up my own knowledge and skills and focus on how I can and why I must versus why I can't and why I wouldn't.
Wow. It's easy to see why Innercise is such a powerful book for people to make dramatic change, because you've really blazed the trail. You've been there, you've done that. You understand what it means to be struggling, and then to work yourself through all that in many different ways. And I think a lot of people, they feel like they can resonate with it. It's their story too.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I've had businesses that have failed. I've lost, money, reputation, friends over it. I've been divorced twice, now married for the last 12 years, together with my wife for the last 18. I was 50 pounds overweight compared to where I am now at 57. I was 238 pounds just 5 years ago. I used Innercise to release the weight and keep it off for the last 5 years. When you understand how to unlock your brain's hidden power and potential, it's not easy, but it makes it so much easier to work with your brain's natural abilities and the genius that resides in every human being, even though at times you just don't feel like it. It's so hard. And it's in those times that it's so hard that we need to use our brains better. And there's certain things that we have learned about the human brain around the different circuits that light up for motivation, the different circuits that light up, when we have fears, and the different circuits when we light up when we don't feel like we can do it, or we don't feel motivated, we don't feel like we deserve the success that we want. When that happens, very few people have ever been taught that is normal, number one. And by the way, here's a technique or two to change that. And I often talk with my students from around the world is, when was the last time anybody shared with you, how to turn on your motivational center of your brain? Or how do you turn off the fear center? Or how do you turn off the little inner critic, that talks negatively to you about you? Well, very few people have ever been taught how to do that. And very few people have ever been taught techniques to upgrade their self-confidence, techniques to upgrade, their self-worth, techniques to let go of fear of failure or fear of disappointing themselves again if they try their best and they don't succeed and they're embarrassed or ashamed. Our brain tends to move away from those things naturally because of a principle of the brain that it's focused and geared towards safety first. Emotional safety, mental safety, physical safety, financial safety. And the second principle is energy conservation. So if it takes a little bit of energy, it says, no, I don't want to, I'm lazy. Just stay doing what you're doing. At least you know what the pain of this is. And so there's some principles that the brain operates by that most people don't understand. And when they start to understand, I'm normal, this is okay, my brain's been conditioned to do X, Y, or Z, but I need to do A, B, and C, and here's how to do it, then they live in this bubble of their comfort zone, and they keep repeating the same thoughts, emotions, and behaviors over and over again. And so what I like to do is teach people and show people you don't have to be a victim of your past. You don't have to be, stuck to your present, and you can create a better future. And it starts with how you think about it, and starts with understanding how to recognize the emotions that empower you and recognize the ones that disempower you, and how to turn those off gently and quietly and turn on the ones that will motivate you and get you to take action a little bit at a time.
Well, what's so fascinating is that this is, you're teaching people life skills that we have.
You got it.
People have never picked up. They're like, wow, I just need to learn this and my life will be better.
Well, there's two parts, obviously, and that's learning this and applying this. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about why people don't apply, it's not that applying is hard. It's that applying takes the brain out of its comfort zone and requires energy. And the brain does not want to expend energy. That it just does not want to. It conserves energy just in case a saber-toothed tiger jumps out of the bushes and wants to kill you. We still are dealing with, we're living in a modern world with an ancient brain. And the ancient brain has a hierarchy of principles that it governs your behavior. But that doesn't mean that we can't override those and do what we need to do to achieve the success that we want.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard you talk about, something that wasn't discussed in the secret. It's one of the laws that I think I have this down here, the law of Goya. And, and I love it because it's so true.
Yeah, we can't make any mistake about, in order to achieve most results, not all results, there's a behavior that we need to take. It's no different if you want to bake a cake. You've got to get the ingredients, you've got to put them in the right order, and then you've got to put them, and for the most part, in an oven, to bake for the right amount of time. And if you've done those things well, then you're going to have a great tasting cake. Well, life is the same thing. If you want to release weight and keep it off, there's a certain pattern of eating that'll help. There's a certain pattern of movement or exercise that'll help. There's a certain pattern, or amount of sleep that you want. And when you take into consideration the things that we already know work, then you can achieve the success. And it doesn't matter if it's, you want to earn more money. It doesn't matter if you want to be happier, if you want to be healthier. There's a certain pattern of behavior that you must take. Now, the problem arises when people think of, let's say, going on a diet. They think of, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And then what most people do if they lose 10 or 20 pounds is then they stop the diet that helped them get there and the behaviors that helped them get there. And so they're not setting up their brain the right way to help them past the achievement of the goal. And so some of the behaviors are right, but the philosophy is a little bit tilted. And the same is true with people who want to make more money. They take action, for a day, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They work really hard. They reach their goal, and then they revert back to all of the old behaviors. And that's a mindset shift that has to happen. And this is where Innercise comes in. And this is where the book teaches people how to develop new, powerful habits that become part of the normal way of being as opposed to a sprint to a temporary result. And this involves understanding a little bit more about how the brain develops habits and how habits drive behavior. A lot of people think that, their choices drive behavior. No. We know from the neuroscience research that only 2 to 3% of our day-to-day behaviors are the choices that we're making day to day on our own volition. 96, 97, 98% is all of the subconscious habits that we have, thought habits, emotional habits, behavioral habits, that basically cause us to do and feel and think and achieve the same results over and over again. So in order to change and sustain the change, we have to be focusing on how do I create new habits that will empower me and sustain a new way of being versus a temporary blip, on the face of our results. And this is where, in Innercise, we have mental and emotional techniques backed and proven by science to help re-script, reshape, repattern the default mode network of the brain, or the part of the brain that's habitual and running the show. And all it takes is, 5 to 10 minutes of Innercise a day to do this. It's like if you want to build your muscles for your body, whether it's bicep muscles or leg or buttocks, or it doesn't matter, you do some exercise. Well, if you want to build some of your neuro muscles, you do some Innercise. And this is where the breakthroughs are coming in fast and furious in the neuroscience field. We're learning how we could do that in an easy way. And we've got some, for anybody who's interested in Innercise in the book, we have some Innercise audios to guide them through it. There's 8 of them that come with the book that are phenomenal to help people have more mental control, emotional control, focus control, attention, and conscious control of making the changes necessary that will stick.
Oh, I think that's fabulous. I mean, I love listening to different audiobooks and just meditations and recordings, so it's nice to have, the book and these other features as well.
Absolutely. I want to make it easy for people to do it. And so I created the supplemental audios and some videos for people that they get when they purchase the book. And the audios and the videos are worth hundreds of dollars versus the book at, I think, it's $15, something like that, which is really inconsequential for most people. I wanted to make a difference in as many lives as I can to give people the tools that they need to make their life the masterpiece that they want it to be.
Yeah. Well, you continue to do that. I know personally from my own experience and following your work over the years. And
thank you.
I have to ask. Oh, yeah. Thank you. My goodness. When you were doing the research for this book, was there anything that surprised you?
There were a lot of things that they didn't really surprise me, but I didn't realize how severe they are. So let me give you an example of something that just hit me, between the eyes of why so many people struggle. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a goal to lose weight because you're 20, 30 pounds overweight or 10 pounds, it doesn't matter. You want to feel better, you want to look better, you want to have more energy and vitality. And let's say you start on a diet and some exercise, very mild, As soon as you do that, you activate the motivational centers of your brain. You release this feel-good chemical called dopamine, neurochemical called dopamine. If you share it with a friend or do it with a friend, then you release some other neurochemicals called oxytocin, and that shifts your mood into activating serotonin. So there's these feel-good, motivational neurochemicals. This is obviously happening at the deepest level of your brain. Now, that's always a great start, and people feel like they're making progress, and they are. However, if somebody has these unconscious fears, for example, if they've done this before 2 times, 3 times, 5 times before, and there's an unconscious fear of, well, what if the same thing happens that happened before where you lose the weight and gain it all back? And then your friends and your family are going to notice the difference and you're going to be embarrassed or ashamed. Well, there's something called disappointment avoidance that is so prevalent, it shuts down people's motivation to take action. And disappointment avoidance is the brain's natural response to avoid the pain and the embarrassment and shame or judgment that may come if I repeat the same pattern again. And we avoid disappointing ourselves or others at all costs. That's one. So when this is triggered in the brain, people will go on a diet for a week or 2 or 3, and then they'll stop. That's one. 2, and let's go to money, for example. If somebody says, I want to earn more money, and they start working, really hard towards achieving more money. Everybody has a financial set point and a money story that is bigger and more prevalent than the goals that we have. So let's say we want to make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 a month or a year. It doesn't matter. When we have been conditioned to earn a certain amount of money every week or every month or every year, anytime we move out of the comfort zone of how much we are earning, we trigger the neurochemistry that causes us to fall back to our old comfort zones. And so it's just mind-boggling how we have these circuits that motivate us, that inspire us when we use our imagination or set goals, which is our deductive reasoning part of the brain. But there is a part of our brain that is the default automatic self that does everything in its power to keep you at your comfort zone that you've gotten used to for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And the reason, number one, is safety. We're safe in our comfort zone even though we may not like it. And number 2 is to conserve energy, as I mentioned earlier. And so this is why willpower and persistence doesn't work. This is why most people, make incremental, small, tiny gains versus, really big leaps, whether it's in their relationship. Most people who go, leave a relationship they're unhappy with, jump into a relationship that pretty much mimics the other one. Most people that lose weight, 99+% of people gain the weight back within very short order. Most people who, end up with making more money end up losing it or spending it. And so the key is to understand that there are triggers that drive certain thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. There's a reward system. There's a behavioral system. There are circuits in our brains that are turning on or off based on what's happening within our own thought process and emotional processes. And there are also things in our external world that trigger how we think and how we feel and how we behave. So the first part is to first become aware of what is really going on, what's really driving your thoughts and behaviors, and then consciously and deliberately make the shifts necessary. And when you do this for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, in a gentle, soft, easy way, and you develop a new pattern that does not put the brain under stress. And this is why a lot of people that set really big goals, they start off doing great, but then they revert back to all their old behaviors because it's too much stress for the brain, and they don't even know why they stop.
Yeah, and then they go back on that pattern of having things kind of spiral out of control. And what I love about Innercise, it really helps people to recognize these traits and make changes.
And that's the whole idea. One of our Innercises is called AYA, A-I-A. And in this specific Innercise, it's in the book, and also it's an audio Innercise that I guide people through. I guide them through a process of awareness, through breathing, but also through being present of their thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, and behaviors. I guide them through setting one intention, not 5, one small intention, and I guide them through taking one small action step towards that. Now, when you do this AYA Innercise, if you took 5 minutes every day and you just did the AYA Innercise, and you developed this new skill of becoming aware, deciding what my intention is versus, what may be happening, and then taking one small action, you are now developing a new mental skill called awareness. You are now developing a new mental skill called intention. You are now developing and empowering a skill you already have, and that's taking action on command. And when you develop this skill of just doing that one Innercise, there's many, many more, you start to deliberately and consciously teach yourself that regardless of what thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, or behaviors you were taking before, you can choose what to take now. And when you do it in a methodical, organized way, then you start to feel empowered that you can. And that is the beginning of being what I call deliberate conscious, or deliberately and consciously evolving yourself. And so you start off small, and then you build those neuromuscles of awareness, intention, action taking. That's just one small one. When you learn several of the other Innercises, there's one called Flip-Flop, Actors Studio, to learn how to manage your emotions and be in control of them. There's another one called Take 6, Calm the Circuits, which will calm any anxiety or stress or disempowering emotion that you may have. There's another Innercise called I See Me, which uses the power of something called mental contrasting, that I guide people through every one of these to be able to see themselves achieving the goal that they want to achieve as they release the obstacles that are in their way. There's another one called Beach Time that gets people into a totally relaxed state where they can have a mental and emotional break. So there's a bunch of these Innercises that I teach people and guide people through in the audios and in the book that empowers them regardless of the circumstances that are happening in their lives. And this is where it becomes fun because, we have over 100,000 students right now that are Innercising every day, and the stories are just mind-boggling of how they're releasing weight that they haven't been able to release for years. They're doubling their business revenues. They're getting promotions at work. Their relationships are getting better. They're learning these life skills that empowers them versus being, disempowered by not having these life skills and not having the mental and emotional control to be able to navigate through some of life's challenges.
You must have the best seat in the house with your students, being able to watch all this transformation take place.
Yeah. I have a pretty wonderful following online, and I get feedback in our private community from our students every single day. I mean, every single day. One of our students, Kimberly McGinnis, she just posted this morning. She just, she was. She didn't have a job. She was living on food stamps, just had a divorce, and she's got the job of her dreams. She just paid off both of her credit cards. She saved up enough money to buy her first home. And this is all in the span of just a year. And so I see this every single day in people's lives when they take control and they upgrade their skills just a little bit. This is like not hard stuff, but it's so powerful. This is, what I call the little hinges that swing the big doors.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, it's easy to see why your book, Innercise, is flying off the shelves. I mean, it's really in high demand. Where can people connect with you, John, and learn more about being part of your community and the book as well?
Sure. I think the easiest place to go is ignitemybrain.com, ignitemybrain.com. And when people order the book from there, they will see that if they order 1 to 4 books, there's some bonuses. If they order, more books, there's more bonuses worth hundreds of dollars. And so if they go to ignitemybrain.com, that's the first place they can go to get the book. And there'll be links from there for them to be able to buy the book and then also get their bonuses. And then if they want to follow me, I'm on Facebook at John Assaraf, I think fanpage.com. No, not .com, but at John Assaraf fanpage. On Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all the places sharing some of the stuff that we're learning and helping people achieve their lives, goals, and dreams, hopefully faster and easier than ever before. But the first place to start would be ignitemybrain.com.
Oh, perfect. Well, and of course, everyone wants to check out their local bookstore and order their own copy and pick up their own copy of Innercise. John, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to get behind this, this book. My mission is to really help people be empowered, to let go of whatever is holding them back. And that means that if they're having self-esteem or self-worth issues, this book will help them. If they're fearful of failing or of being embarrassed or ashamed, this book will help them. If they have limiting beliefs like they're too young or too old or not smart enough, this book will help them. And so that's who this book is written for. It's for the people who know they can achieve more and for some reason they're stuck. This book will help them understand why they're stuck and how to unlock their brains so they get unstuck and they ignite their brain's fullest power.
Thank you so much, John. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you about your new book, Innercise, The New Science to Unlock Your Brain's Hidden Power. Innercise is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and of course, all indie bookstores. If you'd like to connect with John, you can at his website, myneurogym.com. Filled with so much great resources and information, make sure to sign up for his newsletter and be part of his community. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.